Welcome to episode 49 of the No Shelf Control podcast. I'm Lindsey Sparks here with my lovely co-author and co-host, Lindsey Pogue. Today we have the delightful K Webster back with us. She was on episode 5 of the show way back at the beginning to talk about her book, Hood River Rat. Today we will be chatting about her upcoming release, Triple Threat, which I loved, which is, I don't know how you define this exactly. Would you say it's a mafia contemporary romance? I don't know.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. It's hard
and based on when this show airs, which is, I think it's going to be coming out tomorrow when this show airs, which is the show's airing on the 10th.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So it comes out on the 11th. Is that right, Lindsey?
That's right.
Okay. So before we dive in, I want to remind everyone that this is not a spoiler-free zone. If you don't want to risk being spoiled, definitely hop off when we get to the second half of the show and start discussing the book. And if you're not familiar with K Webster, she is a USA Today bestselling author who her titles have claimed many bestseller tags in numerous categories, are translated in multiple languages, and have been adapted into audiobooks. She lives in Tornado Alley with her husband, 2 children, and her baby dog named Blue. When she's not writing, she's reading, drinking copious amounts of coffee, me too, and researching aliens. So welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is exciting. We don't really approach a lot of authors to come back, so it's kind of fun when they do, because then, you know, feels like an old friend visiting.
Yes.
What is anybody drinking? Anything fun?
I'm definitely not. I know I just put my computer down from working to jump on. So I have water. I mean, I'm being healthy. It is the new year.
I have water too.
How about you? Yeah, Christy. How about you?
I have water, but I also have wine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to drink alone.
Perfect.
Don't worry about me.
It's all right. Drink for me too.
Yes.
Yeah, well, with Dennis being sick, it's funny because I've been partaking in my, my spiked eggnog that I make, yeah. But it's a little early for me to be, drinking. It's more like a dessert thing just because it's so thick, so it's only 4 o'clock here. I'm not ready for spiked eggnog. So that's my relax, watch a TV show time. Anyway. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So what are you guys working on right now? Any fun projects?
I just finished the epilogue of the last book in my Alien series that I wrote with Nicole Blanchard. It's a 9-book series that's been going on for a couple years, and for the past year, what should have taken us like a month took us a whole year, because she got pregnant and had a baby and all this stuff, all in the middle of it. And then I was kind of like burnt out. And anyway, she was like, we need to finish that story because the readers really want it. And I was like, yeah. And I pulled it up, and literally we had like 6 chapters left to do. I was like, we put this off for a whole year. And so I wrote the last chapter, and then she was like, well, write an epilogue that ties it all, like every story up, let's give everybody a little sneak peek. And I was like, oh, great. I don't even remember half of these characters.
Yeah.
So I was like, if you come up with a list of who they are and how, what babies they have, then I will do the epilogue. And so that's what I worked on today. And it was the longest epilogue I've ever written.
Oh, wow.
Because once I started writing about it, I was like, oh, I don't want to let them go.
Oh, that's fun though. That's fun. Isn't that funny how you have this whole story build up in your mind about how this big hurdle of something, and then you actually do it and it's just not even at all what you thought. It's so much easier. I love that.
Can you tell us the name of the series?
It's called the Lost Planet series. And there's going to be the 9th book that comes out. We don't know yet. I mean, we haven't we wanted to make a date after we finished it. So hopefully now that we finished it, we can make a date.
Sweet. I'll put it in the show notes.
Is that your longest series that you've written? Is 9 books?
It's, yeah, I mean, I've got like I've got my Taboo Treat world, which they're all like connected in some way. And the readers like to read them in order, even though you can technically just read them in any order. And that has like 12 books in it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe like 14 books. Anyway.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's the longest one, but then the aliens for sure.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that, so I have a couple author friends, and I won't name them just because I don't know if they want me to be, spreading rumors about them. But anyways, I have a couple friends who, they write other genres and they want to really like start getting into reading romance and stuff. And it was just really funny because I was like, well, I'll tell you whose website you go to with every type of romance you could possibly think of, and they wanted the good stuff, so I was like, you go to Christy's website. So anyway, I think you have some new followers now.
Cool.
I love it. Well, it's like you really do, you have so many things. And actually I have a question, because last time you were here, I don't know how many books, it was over 100 books, but it's been about a year now, so maybe longer. So I'm just curious, do you know how many books you have out now?
Last time I checked, it's about 120.
Wow.
So I mean, and not all of them are like super long books.
Right.
I'd say when you average them all out, of all the lengths, they're probably around 60,000 words.
Well, hey, if you have to make a cover for it, I consider it a book or a publication, right? So I say it works.
And I try to print them all, and because I like to have them in my hands.
Yeah. No, that's smart.
Yeah,
that's fun.
LP, what are you working on?
So I'm in that groove that you were in last time with City of Ruin, of where I'm actually going through. It's so weird because I feel like my screen is so dark because you guys all have like these really light screens and you have all this light behind you, but my kitten broke my light that was right here. So now I just feel like I'm in a dark cave. I mean, there's light in the room, but for some reason on the screen, it's like all dark. It's distracting me. But no, so I'm in that revision mode where it's just like I'm reading through the chapters and I'm like getting sucked in, and I'm just like devouring it. And so yeah, I'm getting ready to send City of Ruin to my alpha reader. So yeah, it's just like every time I have to stop for it, I'm like, oh man. Last night I stayed up to like 10 o'clock working on it because I was just like wanted to just keep going. So it's fun. It's kind of like a fun stage. So that's what I've been working on though. And it feels nice because, I haven't had any real routine in so long because the whole cat saga. So, and things are finally sort of back to normal. So I actually have work time and it feels really good to be getting some things done. So I guess I'm just living it up until, the next shitstorm just, So anyway, yeah, that's me.
Well, you have to tell us, how is Beast doing?
He's fine. It's so funny. He looks like a homeless child. He's like missing fur on his back, and he has like the scars on his head because he had surgery, and like his hair's barely just growing in. And I mean, he always looked like a curmudgeon, but now he looks like a beast. Like the name has never been more apt, So I actually was talking to my neighbor who lives like far away, like down like a couple blocks over, and they were walking their dog, and Beast was out. It was his first day out. It was a couple days ago, his first day outside, and Beast was like mugging them from like up here by the front door. And the guy was like, "Is that your cat? He looks like a fucking badass." And I was like, "Yeah, he looks pretty gnarly. That's for sure. That's Beast, and yes, that's my cat. But he's okay. He's still on meds and stuff, but he's at least outside now, and he's not miserable, and I'm not miserable, so it's very happy. I'll take Dennis being sick over cats being sick any day, because it's so much easier, right? Like to know what humans need and how to take care of them than trying to deal with fur babies who are miserable and don't want to take their meds. And yeah, so anyway, it's all very much better. Thank you for asking. Now everything is better in that area. I just hate saying it because I've said that like 5 times and then it gets worse. So I'm like, it's
knock on wood
right now. Yeah, it's better. So Anyway,
Well,
what about you? What are you working on?
I'm still in my like admin phase. I have what is today? Thursday. So I have 3 more days until the deadline for my beta readers to get Song of Scarabs and Fallen Stars back to me. And I'm just waiting on one person. So yeah, and I'm really excited about the revisions. LP and I were just chatting before this started about a couple revision, because she's one of my beta readers, but about one big revision. It's just an addition that I need to make that I think will make it a lot more accessible to new readers to the world, because it is the second spinoff, or I guess the 3rd series in a world. So yeah, so I'm feeling excited about revisions. I'm really excited to get back into the story because I really love it. And yeah, other than that, I'm preparing to venture into TikTok. So yeah, I have an account. I've told some of my readers about it, that if they want to follow me and watch me like fumble through like trying to figure this thing out, they're welcome to do it. I'm doing like this challenge with some other authors to learn how to use it. I have only just started like browsing it, so it's definitely very addicting. I can say that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
I don't like look at all the videos. I literally use it for work. And so I get on there, I make my little video, I check my notifications, and then I'm out of there because I know that I can get caught up in it. And so I've just like trained myself, don't get caught up in it.
Well, and that's my plan. But right now I am so unfamiliar with it. I don't know anything. Like, I just need to like understand how it works. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna like start consuming it a little bit.
Well, I absolutely believe that everybody needs to get on TikTok. And I would, like a year ago, I was like, I'm not doing TikTok. But literally, like I get so much money coming from TikTok. So it's like new readers, and
Wow.
they just, I mean, it's like it just organically feeds to new people that you don't normally have access to.
Yeah.
So, you know, I took a TikTok class called, I don't know what it was called, but it was, I just went through in on TikTok and I searched marketing for TikTok or something like that. And I found this lady, and her name's Darlene, and she's like 26 or something. But anyway, she's like a master. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to find somebody who's like young and a master at this. And she was like a master marketer over TikTok. And she had so many good like points and tips and everything. And then I took some coaching with her. And then I did this course she had, like this boot camp. It was TikTok boot camp. That's what it was called. And I learned so much, and it really helped. And that's
awesome.
So
well, I am definitely going to check out your TikTok.
Mine's silly. It's just like, I don't know, mine's kind of comedic. It's not necessarily like dances or me being cool or informative. It's just like all the ones that do well are the ones where I'm really, really silly, just being silly. And those are the ones that have the most traction. So what I like to tell other people is just like find that part of yourself that is you, that's really good at, that makes you, that draws people into you, and put everything that you want to around that. So it's good to look at other people's TikToks and see what they're doing, but you really have to find what you're comfortable with and do it, and so I think you'll get on there and you'll see my stuff's embarrassing.
Now I'm really excited. Yeah, I think it'll be really fun. But I think it'll be a big learning curve also. So,
well, and all you have to do is ask some kid. Like, that's my daughter, she's 11, and I'm like, I don't know about this TikTok. And she's like, Mom, you just do this and you just do this. And I was like, oh, okay. So now when I have questions, I'm like, come here and help me.
That's hilarious.
That's a good idea.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's all I have going on. The next episode, I'll have a lot more to say about that. Okay, now I've lost my tab. Okay, are you guys reading anything fun right now? What are you guys reading?
Christy?
Gosh, I'm I just finished, he would ask me that. I just finished a bunch of books. The book that stands out to me was Profit First, and it's nonfiction, and it's talking about your basically taking the profit from your business first before you start paying bills and expenses and reinvesting into all these different things, and basically, you know, laid out each little thing. And because I'm trying to make this whole author gig smarter, more profitable, and like really make the best out of it, because you know, I want it to continue to, you know, make money,
be sustainable. Yeah.
Right. And so it was such a helpful book, and I learned so much, and I'm, you know, I loved it. So I'm still like, even though I finished
absorbing it
about it. Yeah. So
yeah.
How about you,
those are
LP?
the best books. To be honest, I was beta reading, so I really didn't have much. I did just, and reading for this, but I did just one of those, I feel like there's always so many books in my Amazon Prime, you know how you can do the Prime reads and stuff, and I never have time to, I feel like every time I'm like, oh, there was that book, and then I'll go to read it and then it'll be gone. I'm like, duh. So I am trying to at least read some of the books that are in Prime that I've been trying to read. So I just opened, my favorite book by Kandi Steiner was The Wrong Game. Absolutely. I've told her that too. I was like, that's just my favorite book that you've written. And there's a second one called The Right Player, which is the second book in that series that is in Prime. I saw it was in Prime, and so I picked it up because I've been wanting to listen to the audiobook. I just haven't yet. But I figured it's in Prime. I'll check it out because I really like that series. So that's what I'm going to be jumping into next. I don't really have anything that I'm reading right now, so that's boring, but there you go.
I was just looking on my Audible app because I needed to see what the book was called that I'm about to start. And it is The Bone Witch by Ivy Asher. It's the book that my reader group selected for the book club, but I'm excited about it because I really love the cover. And I think it's a book that I added to the list, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm going to listen to the audiobook. But I haven't really been reading much other, I mean, I read Triple Threat really fast.
Good.
Yeah. And then I was like, wait, the next book's not out yet because this one's not even out yet, and I need to know what happens. But at least it doesn't look like it's that long of a wait.
That's actually means a lot coming from you.
I know,
Chrissy, just so you know, because she doesn't read this genre.
I don't.
At all.
Really?
I know. I think it's because it was so steamy, and I liked the there's 3 guys, so
right.
I'm liking where this is going.
Yeah. You're gonna really like it the next book.
Oh, good. That was gonna be one of my questions.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So now that I'm blushing, I just need to write down LP's book real quick. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So anyway, The Right Player by Kandi Steiner is what yeah. So I mean, shall we dive into have her introduce the book then, so we can dive into questions?
Yeah. So this is your final spoiler warning to all the listeners. I guess abandon all hope, ye who enter here. I don't know what that saying is. Anyway. Yeah. Can you give us an intro to Triple Threat?
Yes. Triple Threat is book 1 of a duet, and it's actually in the Midnight Dynasty world, which Dangerous Press, the publisher, has like this giant world of all these characters, and they basically have like a family tree of all these people, and then they ask authors to pick a person and make a story for them. And so
wow, that's really cool. I had no idea.
So like I wrote the Cinderella, the Skyscraper Cinderella trilogy. So that was the hero was Winston Constantine. So it's basically like 2 fighting families. So we've got the Morellis and we've got the Constantines. And so he's the oldest son in that family, and he basically is this billionaire, and he's, you know, he thinks he rules the world. And then you've got the Morellis, and they're also super rich and powerful, and they think they rule the world. So, and they hate each other, and there's a lot of beef. And so in my Cinderella series, the villains in that series are my triplets. So I made them so evil and terrible in that series. And then Sky from Dangerous Press was like, do you want to write for us again? And I was like, sure. And she was like, can you write the triplets? And I was like, oh, you really want me to write them? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I was like, fun. And so I came up with a story for them, and it was tricky because, you know, I don't want them to lose their villainous power, but at the same time, you do want to like them because, I mean, it's a romance, and, you know, they can't be all villain. So now that we're inside their heads, they're still evil, but you know, naughty, I should say, and but they also have vulnerabilities. So I think that was fun uncovering those. So.
You know, I think maybe that's what like really drew me in and made me really excited about this story, and even though it's like so far out of my usual wheelhouse, is because I am super into like dark villainous heroes right now. Like it's everything.
And in this story, someone was like, I don't know how you pulled this off. They were so bad in the other trilogy. And I was like, well, you have to just create a bigger villain, you know, and then they don't seem as bad. Like that's the trick. You just create somebody worse than them, and then they're their own little hero in their own little way, you know, and because they were a villain in this other story doesn't mean they're not a hero for someone else or whatever. So, the story, a loose little synopsis, I guess, is the heroine in the story. She is basically lives in a very protective environment with her father and her sister, and the triplets, they get this job to where they have to infiltrate their lives and get, you know, information and all this stuff, because it all ties back to the Constantines, you know, and the Morelli-Constantine War. But since they're triplets, they have them play one guy, Ford, and basically hit this girl's life in every little way, in the man's life. And she doesn't realize they're triplets. Like she doesn't know these people. She just thinks it's one guy. So she thinks this guy has like a personality disorder because he's so different all the time, but he looks the same, and it's very confusing. And then she starts to fall for him in different scenarios, but it's 3 different guys, you know. And as time progresses, these selfish little boys start to really want to keep their little toy, you know. So it's definitely like I don't know, it's just a different kind of story. It's fun.
Wow, it definitely works.
Yeah, I feel like you've just blown all my questions out of the water, because like I had all these questions about like, oh my God, did you know when you originally wrote them that you were going to write their triplets their own books, because they're absolutely horrible, like Scout specifically. But I think like you pulled it off. Like I know you said it was just kind of tricky to figure out how you're going to do it and stuff, but I think you really pulled it off. It's like Scout is like the worst of them, especially in the other series, but he's still, like you said, he has these vulnerabilities. So like you see him interacting with his brothers and with Ty, Constantine, and he's not, even with her, like he's still bad and naughty, but and twisted, but he's also, like you said, he's not too at the same time. And so it was so cool to see them, having read the other series, to see them in a completely different light. And I think I messaged you when I finally caught on. It took me a couple chapters that I was like, wait, these are the triplets. These are the same. I didn't realize it was the same world. So I was so excited once I figured that out. Yeah. And then the whole triple threat thing obviously made sense, because I was like, this is a genius story idea. But
well, and then you know, you've read the first half of the duet, and you're going to see some character growth, especially in the second half. And I love the way they transform, and you know, the thing I like about writing these types of heroes, I guess they're anti-heroes, or
I guess.
I mean, and the reason I like writing them is because they can still be bad, but you get to root for them, you know? And I feel like as long as you know, give them some kind of journey where they're growing in certain areas, even if it just means that they are able to love someone and take care of them, even if they still hate everybody else and they're awful, that to me is growth in some way, and you're rooting for that. And
right.
But then, you know, I've read books before where the guy is real tough and mean in the beginning, and then at the end he's, you know, all bubblegum and sweet, and we don't like that. We still want to see that they're still themselves, they're still you know, their personality, but they have those little soft moments and soft spots that, you know, they let us see. So
right. Real quick, can you, I don't remember seeing it. What is this series called? Does this series have a name that's up on Amazon?
The triple threat one, the duet. You know, I think it might, but I don't know what it is.
All right.
I don't remember. I just keep calling them Triple Threat and Death Wish, and I don't know.
Okay, so you said that it's just 2 books. The series is just going to be 2 books. Okay, good. Okay, so March 29th, I think, is what I saw.
And people that have not read the Cinderella trilogy, they can read this.
Yeah, that's totally. Totally.
And then what happens is they might be curious about, like, how'd they get here, you know, to this point in their life. And then, you know, you can go read Stroke of Midnight, and then you're like, oh my gosh, they're so rotten, you know?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. In fact, I wonder how it would be to go back and read the other series after you read this one with the Triple Threat and Death Wish, because that's what you said the second one is called, right? It would be interesting to see if they'd be like, what? Like, I kind of want to go back and reread it just so I can, like, put now that I know the characters, the you know, now that you've fleshed them out, to watch them interacting with Ash and stuff. And I don't know, it would be really interesting.
Well, what was funny is, you know, like, you got to think about it. So since they were the villains in the first book, we never get their points of view.
Right.
So they're obviously, we only see the harsh, bad parts of them. But now that we get their points of view, we actually get to see, like, what they're thinking about. Even if they're saying or acting a certain way, they might be thinking something different. And you also get to see the heroine who sees them as something different than everybody else sees them, as something heroic and romantic or whatever. And so it's different because they see it. And alternatively, Winston was my hero in the Cinderella trilogy, but he's technically the villain in the duet.
Right.
So in the second book, you're going to get more scenes with Winston, and it was very hard for me to completely flip it and write my beloved hero as the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, and because that's the way the triplets see him. They ruined his life, they did all this stuff. And, you know, and even Landry has a couple run-ins with Winston. And I mean, he's just frigid and cold, and she just is so, like, creeped out by him. And whereas Ash thinks he's, you know.
So just for context, Lindsey, since you haven't read the other, they are the 3, like, it's like the evil stepsisters, but they're like the evil stepbrothers, because it's like a Cinderella story.
Okay,
so,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're, like, really evil.
Well, I mean, yeah, so I'm curious about, so you said you didn't write anything from their perspective in the previous series. So did their characters, once you were, like, inside of their heads, did their characters and personalities develop differently than you had originally kind of, like, seen them?
Well, you know, I kind of always had, like Sully was always kind of like the nicer triplet, and Sparrow was the cuckoo pants crazy, or not Sparrow, Scout was, and then Sparrow was just kind of like in the middle, like, you know, kind of Mr., you know, arrogant or whatever, but it was very just simple. So then I had to sit there and think about, how do I amplify each one of these things that we saw in the trilogy before, and, like, make it come to life in its own little way. So I had to basically I don't know, just make it like over the top sometimes.
Right.
Really just because
show
you
their
have,
different personalities.
right, because there's 3 people who look the same and they're playing the
Mhm.
same person. This girl thinks they're the same person. So it was
Yeah.
a very tricky thing to write where
Yeah.
you're, you know, trying to let her see one person who has personality flaws sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
At the same time, they're thinking or doing things in their own over the top way.
So in that same thread, I'm curious, because you have, you know, these 3 very different personalities, who's your favorite of the triplets, whether it's to write and or just your favorite character of the 3?
I'm Team Sparrow.
Me too.
Mhm.
I don't know. I didn't expect to love him. I was like, I had it in my head that I was gonna like Sully the best when I started writing him. But then Sparrow just comes in there with his fancy car and his little attitude, and I was like, oh my god,
Sassy pants. Yeah.
Yeah.
right? I was like, okay, I like you.
Yeah. Well, he also sets the baseline too, right? So like he's the first one we really see interacting with her, and so like Sully's cool, but he's also really kind of broody, and I don't know. It's cool. I think Sparrow's a good. He's kind of like a good buffer between the 2 like extremes, you know. So
Yeah.
And
but
then
yeah,
in the second book, it does you start to, you know, as they start to become, you know, more competitive, you know, because they're known for fighting over the same girl. Like they've done this in the past. So, you know, now that we're going into book 2, you're going to start to see this competitive edge.
yeah.
You know, like 3 little toddlers who can't share the same toy,
Right.
you know, and their mom's not there to tell them to share, so they're going to fight over it. And that's kind of fun because you get to see them trying to, you know,
Yeah.
be the better guy, I guess.
So I kind of want to go back to we were talking about how, you know, how do you make villains anti-heroes, or someone who at least you can root for in some way, and you create a bigger villain. And so the father was, I feel like, I guess I'll get to my question in a second, but I feel like my experience in reading him was just that, he sounded horrifying, like terrifying before he even comes on the page. Yeah. And then he's very kind of just, you know, I don't know, he's just very collected, and you can tell he's just like simmering beneath the surface. You don't know what kind of monster he is quite yet, because he develops a lot over the course of the whole book, right? I mean, I kept wondering, at first I was like, how exactly is he abusive to her? And then I was like, oh, so he's verbally abusive. And I'm like, is that all there is? And then I was like, oh no, he's also physically, like, and I was like, but is there like the sexual thing underneath? I couldn't tell. And then I was like, no, I guess not. And then there was, and I was like, oh my God, he keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
Right.
And you did a really good job with him. So I guess my question is, and it sounds like you probably had an idea when you went in to write him, because you wanted to make this big bad villain, but did you know from the very beginning that he was just going to like abuse her in every possible way?
Yeah, I needed it to be where she is completely, like, she needed to be completely trapped, because you know, it kind of goes into the fairy tales and the storytelling of, you know, the girl trapped in the tower and the hero has to come save her. In this case, it's the 3 villainous type heroes, but she's trapped, you know, dragon in the lair or whatever, kind of how she is. But because of her age, she technically could leave at any moment, but that's why she has Della, her little sister, because she's not going to leave her alone. And her father is so powerful, and so, you know, he has so much influence on everybody that it's not just a simple, you know, well, we'll just go and tell on him. It's like, she's smart enough to know that's not going to work. You know? So she is having a hard time doing this by herself, but now she's starting to get like a little team behind her. So
yeah.
I thought that his like villainy was developed really well, and also her she was like a little bit of an unreliable narrator, in that like we're learning this as she's like slowly revealing, like she's not even revealing it, like it's almost like she's hiding it from herself. And did you do that on purpose so that we would like slowly learn how terrible he is?
Right. Yeah. And like, if like I wrote a book before where it had the girl had dissociative identity disorder, and a lot of times, like when they have really traumatic things happen to them, they just completely cut it out of their mind, and they just, and so in her mind, she's taking care of Della. She's looking out for Della. It's Della and her to the point where she just shuts that door. And as you move into this next book, she's got 3 guys who want to open that door and find out what's behind it, so it's gonna get, you're gonna get to learn more about her. So
I thought that was really, I was kind of like with LP, where I was just like, oh my God, it gets worse. And it was just, and you get to see her kind of retreating in her mind as like the worst violation is about to start. And it's just, I was like, oh, wow.
Well, you wanted the readers to be like, okay, well, he gives me creepy vibes, but like, she's rich and she lives in this super awesome place. And, he buys her this fancy jewelry, and, like, what's wrong? I mean, they have maids and cooks and, and then you start to slowly see, like, she has no life. She has no friends. She has nothing.
She doesn't even have a poster on her wall.
Right. She's like literally just living in a little dollhouse, and
she doesn't even have like agency over her own body. Like it's just
she's a prisoner, and she could probably do like escape on her own, but she's not selfish enough to do that. She can't, she knows that her sister is vulnerable and she won't leave without her. So
and that was a clever way that you showed how much he watches her, with her just looking at colleges, and then all of a sudden he's like, okay, you're a perfect little girl, so I'll let you go to college or whatever. And I was like, that was really smart. That was a really like on like a storycraft sort of way, like that was a really smart way to do that, because then it gets her to go to college, so she meets Sparrow or Ford, but then it also makes it so that she can't just go and Google how to save herself. You know what I mean? Like you really,
like
you cinched all the little loose ends as to like, she's just stuck.
And then it's like she meets Ty, and he's like almost someone who can help, and so she definitely, and he's nice, and so she gravitates towards him, but she also has this like romantic connection with Ford. And so she's like, for the first time in her life, she feels like maybe she has allies, and she's testing those waters and everything.
So wow, that was like a cliffhanger. And that was
epic.
Yeah, I was like, wait, no, it can't be over. But it was. Okay, so can you tell us, so we know it's going to be 2 books. Can you give us any kind of taste of what's going to be happening? I mean, like, I think, like, I'm really hoping that it's not just going to be competition, and that she's going to get all of them in the end.
Well, the thing that I will say is that the transformation that I wanted to show with Landry is she goes from being one prisoner to another, but over here she has no control, and over here she learns that she
has all the control. Right.
And so as she's afraid, and then she starts to realize, hey, I can do this, this isn't like living with him. This is something totally different, and I can do this. And so you get to see her really transform into something stronger, and really learn how to play those cards.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and so it gets hot.
So
like it wasn't already.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, I thought it was a really nice little twist of what you did with her sister. So what made you decide? I mean, I guess technically you could have gone any direction with Della, as long as the father hated her and resented her for being born. So what made you kind of go with the whole deaf route? And I mean, it was a really cool way to, you bring in the the second triplet, or
Yeah.
but what kind of made you go in that direction with the little sister?
You know, I like writing different types of characters, and I just finished recently writing Shift of Morals, and my character, he wasn't deaf, but he was mute because he had had an injury to his throat, and so they spoke through sign language, and I had so much fun like writing that and like delving into that. And so
I read that
one.
Yeah,
it's still like fresh in my mind. So whenever it came time for Della, I thought that would be it could be something that, you know, the dad might see as an imperfection in his perfect little world, and something that it really could grate on him. And then, you know, like it allowed me to, you know, bring in Sully. So
and it also showed just how much even more terrible the father is.
that's true.
Yeah. So he was terrible on lots of fronts.
Yeah.
And then it also shows, like, even like on the triplets, they don't want to go do all these things, but like even Sully is learning sign language and really, you
he's
know,
growing too. Yeah.
Right. Trying to, you know.
Oh my God, and the cat.
I know, just say the scene with him trying to bathe the cat. I was laughing. I was like, this is, I just like imagining it.
And then of course the cat likes Scout, of course.
Yeah.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
Okay, so LP, do you have any more questions about the story before I get to my two usuals?
I guess I do have a question. Do you plan, I mean, I guess you don't really know unless Sky comes to you, but are you going to be writing more in this world, or?
If she asks me, I would, because I feel, you know, I don't know, I have a connection to all the characters. Now I'm Team Morelli and I'm Team Constantine. So like, I feel like and every time someone writes like a new book, like Lessons in Sin, that one by Pam Godwin, that's Winston's baby sister is in this book. And so like there's just so many connections in all of them, and it's fun to, you know, see their story. So
that's fun.
If she asked me to write again, I would.
Yeah,
that's
super cool.
Okay, how about now?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so if this book were to be adapted to a movie or show, who would you cast as the main characters?
Oh, you warned me.
I did.
You warned me. She said she's gonna ask that, and I was like, I'm gonna be ready, and of course I wasn't ready. Oh my gosh. And
this is my favorite question.
I know, and I'm trying to think. I don't know. Like, I don't have those boys in my head as someone. Like, there's no. Do you have somebody that you saw when you read it?
I don't know. Somebody big, and burly,
and beautiful.
And beautiful. Yeah, I don't know.
I know.
They have like, they have brown eyes of varying shades. I don't know, because it's not like there's a bunch of triplets out there, so it would have to be one guy,
right? And just let him play all three parts.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm gonna have to think about it for a sec. And they're not old, they're young. Yeah, I mean, not that they would be old, but they're not like,
right,
a lot of the big actors I feel like are in their 30s.
Told you it's hard.
I know. What about you, LP? Do you have anyone in mind for the guys?
No, I was just thinking the first person, honestly, that came to mind. But the problem is he, I mean, this is more of like, I just think he's hot, and I think he could be a bad boy, is whatever his name, Milo, whatever his name is. He's in This Is Us, but he was also in a lot of other things. What is his name?
Oh, the dad?
Yeah, but like
the guy from younger, Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, but when he's younger,
he's a little guy too.
Yeah, but have you seen him in This Is Us? He's fucking ripped, man. And I'm like, damn, you're hot. And his hair like is dark and falls in his face, and I'm like, oh, I could see him being a little crazy too. He's a bad boy. I mean, and his name's Jess in Gilmore
Jess,
Girls, right?
yeah,
He is
and
the bad boy.
He was
Yeah.
also in Heroes. He was
So anyway,
Peter.
I don't know. He's the first person that came to mind. He's also been in like Rocky or something too.
Yeah,
so
he was Rocky's son.
He fights, and I don't know. I don't know why he's the first person that came to mind.
I do like him.
Do you guys remember Scream back in the day with
Yeah.
when he was
Yes.
okay, that crazy
Yes.
so cute with the dark hair and just I mean that was Scout right there.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that totally fits actually.
That's good on. Okay.
Yes.
What about Landry?
Gosh, I don't know.
They're like perfect blonde.
Yeah, I mean I guess I cannot recall any celebrities.
I know, right?
Like,
On the spot.
There are none. No,
right? Well, me and Lindsey were talking about this because she's the one that told me about the art breeder thing.
Yeah.
Basically create our own characters now, and nobody lives up to them.
Yeah, it's actually really funny. So since I started doing that, because I did that for all of the characters in my series that's coming out on March 29th, so the same time as Death Wish. So the first book is coming out then, and I created all the characters in Art Breeder. And then as soon as I was creating them, I was like, oh, he kind of looks like, this person. I'm like, oh, that would be a good person to play. So it's like I did it in reverse. Like I created the Art Breeder ones, and then I was like, oh, this actor would work.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
I'll have to make the little Art Breeder pictures that I see in my head and then share them.
Yeah. And it's really fun and super addictive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Once I got into it, I was doing it for just like hours at a time. And time was passing so fast, I just couldn't stop. And I'm like, there's my little children. I need to like keep an eye on them.
I'm just making people over here.
Okay. So my last question is an audiobook in the works?
I believe so. Yes, because Sky, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I think that
most likely
will be one. And so hopefully that all pans out. Like when you're going through the publisher, it's different than when you're self-publishing because they just do a lot of things and they might mention it to you and then you're like, you never hear about it again. And then boom, it's there. And you're like, oh. Like and I'm used to like knowing every step of the process. Yeah. So I try not to be like, micromanaging what they're doing and asking them every 3 seconds, like, what are we doing? But at the same time, sometimes I'm like, oh, surprise, here we go. So we talked about it. So hopefully we do see that. And that would be awesome. And I would be really excited to hear them.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back and read it again. It's short enough. I mean, no, you know what I need to do? I'm going to go back. I'm going to at least read, because I don't think I finished I read Stroke of Midnight, or what is it? Stroke of Midnight. It is. Oh, it is. Okay. I never know if I get things twisted in my brain. But yeah, so it's been a little while since I read that. So I kind of want to go back and reread that one, but I think I read the second one, but I don't think I read the third one. So I feel like I at least need to read the first one again, because that's when they're probably the worst.
Yeah, they're they're pretty bad. Yeah. I would say that was the worst one.
Yeah. And then I'll go back and then I want to read this one again. Well, I mean, I would love to. Let's see. It's just funny. I like being able to put all the pieces together, and like.
But you should wait until like mid to end of March.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So then I can go back and keep reading the second book. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe there'll be audiobooks and that would be interesting. So
that would be cool.
You can just listen to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you have coming out next? After, I mean, obviously the second book is going to be coming out in March. What else do you have coming out? I feel like you always have something coming out.
I know. I think this year's going to pick up again. I think in February I have a duet that's called Hidden Truths and Stolen Lies, and we're going to put it into one set and do like a special edition cover, and that's coming out next week or next month, and I'm excited about that. And then I have a co-write with my friend Dukey, and it's called Madmen of Moscow, and we're going to try and get that out in April. We had to move the deadline back because Christmas hit and she was sick and like all this stuff happened, and we didn't want to just rush through a story.
Right.
So we just made the decision to move it back, and that took a lot of pressure off. So
that's great.
So
that's really smart to write it and then pick a release date. I've never done that.
Yeah, me either.
Really, I used to have like 5 books in my queue at all times, and then I got to where I slowed down, and then I used them all up, and then I was writing as I needed to, and I don't like that. That's too stressful. I like to write books and then just have them sitting and then write.
No, that's smart. That's totally smart.
Yeah. But if I did that, I wouldn't release anything for like 2 years. I'm not fast.
Oh.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I've been like sitting on, it's so hard because I could easily just message you and ask you all my questions. I'm like, don't pick up the phone. Just wait, write them down. But go ahead, tell us listeners where they can find you, any big announcements that you might have, and we can wrap up, I guess.
You guys can find me on all the social medias. Lately I've been spending the most time on TikTok, and that's where I put all the fun stuff. And then I recently just started a Patreon for the people who are just needing more access, and I've been giving them like exclusive stuff. I'm very like closed and like private with my business stuff, and so I've been like giving them sneak peeks. And on the first day, this girl, she messaged me and she said she got the highest tier, and it was like, it's the most expensive one, and she was like, oh, this is already worth it in the first day. And I was like, oh really? Okay, because I was like kind of nervous, like it was too much money, but she was like, no,
that's awesome.
So it made me proud. And then an announcement is I have 3 contracts started for German translation.
Oh, cool.
Exciting.
Yeah, I'm going to self-publish these. So like, so I have found the narrators and handled all of that stuff. And so they're working on them, and hopefully I can start pumping those out to Germany. So
wow.
Are you going through like any kind of, I don't even know. I know I hear people talk about stuff. I know one that I don't feel like people use it anymore, but it's like Babel Cube or something. Or did you find the translators?
I went through Upwork and searched for, basically I posted a job that I wanted German translators for naughty romance books. And I had a lot of people, and it is kind of pricey. It's like an investment, but yeah, they were there. And I didn't want them to like get how some people can be weird about romance. So it's like, I'm throwing it out here right now. These are romance and they're spicy, and some of them are male. Like if you're not into that, and they're dark, if you're not into it, then don't apply. But anyway, I had a lot of people apply, and then so many that I didn't want to tell everybody no. And I had like 3 or 4 people that I liked, and then I'm like, okay, I guess I'm working on 3 or 4 books now. So and my husband's like, how much is this going to cost? I'm like, ugh. So I'm just going to have to really work hard on this year. So
that's really cool. That's
really cool.
I really would love to do some German translations.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. I'm eager to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps up this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, Christy. It's always a pleasure. And we're going to be back next week with, next episode with our biggest, kind of anniversary event. This is going to be our 50th episode. So we're going to do something really fun with that. So stay tuned. We're going to have all the links, and we're going to have all the information we talked about today with Christy in the show notes. So be sure to check those out if you have any questions. And until next time, be well, be safe, and happy reading adventures, everybody.
Happy reading.